We ran a little long, obviously. Couple of announcements. This meeting is being broadcast on local cable TV and recorded for rebroadcast on the local cable TV channels and on the internet. The Community Bandstand concert series is continuing every Thursday all the way through August 29th, starting at 6:30. Rain or shine. The different performers are listed on the town's website. On July 18th, the next one will be Twang Busters, which is a honky-tonk and juke joint swing band. So that's what's happening this Thursday. There's for people that are in the flood zone, FEMA, as people are aware, came out with a new flood mapping for Essex County in July 2015. Now they're going to reassess things somewhat, and there's going to be informational meetings in the area. One is going to be actually tomorrow, July 16th at 1:30 in the Haverhill Public Library, Johnson Auditorium in Haverhill. And so if people want to get more information on that, they can go there. There's also one further away, obviously, in Manchester, New Hampshire on Wednesday, and also another one in Concord, New Hampshire on Wednesday. So if you want further information from that, go to the FEMA, I would say there's a solson at usgs.gov.
Chairman?
Yes.
Our conservation agent, Bert Cummins, will be attending the informational session tomorrow, and I've asked him to provide a report on any he sees or hears with any bearing whatsoever on West Newbury. I've seen these fund charts, rate maps, updates, and a couple of other towns I've worked in. I emphasize to him that even if it doesn't appear to be a significant change on the map, if it affects even a single residence, that is significant. So that's what he'll do. He'll also be reporting back to the conservation commission with what he sees and hears today.
Great. Tickets still available for the West Newbury Day at Fenway. That's Friday, August 9th. Red Sox are playing the Angels. You see Mike Trout. There's my favorite thing, the Japanese player Otani. That's what I like.
He hits and pitches.
Right. That's since Babe Ruth. Reserved. There's you can either go with the bus or drive yourself, and tickets available either way to do that. And final notice is just some change in fees from $7.89 a month to $8.89 a month, so up a buck for people that go to their that get the regional sports network from Verizon. Okay. First item on the agenda.
Did you want to do the tape art thing?
What's that?
The tape art thing?
Oh,
The announcement?
right. We were going to talk about that further on. We can talk
Oh, we
about
can do it
now.
further on. No,
Let's
that's
talk
fine.
about it now. Yeah. Okay. The three towns are collaborating on a very interesting arts project. I think Jen Solis can give us better information on the tape art project, which is started. It's going to be in different venues throughout the three Pentucket towns in the next couple of weeks. Yeah, you want to talk about it, Jen? You can do it better than I can.
Yeah, take this one and I can take care of that when you're
Mine's good here.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Tape art is a really exciting visual arts, public art project, temporary art. And the first phase of it is underway. It started off with a magnificent mural on the side of the exterior of the Langley Adams Library in Groveland. That was sort of an homage to the former Pines Speedway, if you remember, if anybody remembers that, way back in the 1940s through the 1970s was a racetrack on the site where the municipal property is now. And then now they've moved over to Canosa Building, which is sort of across from the Merrimack Public Library area. And they're doing, I was over there today, it looks like they're doing there's lots of boats, and it looks like there may be some kind of a major flood that they're capturing with tape. They draw with tape and make these life-size murals. And then after that, they will be heading to someplace in West Newbury, and we should all be excited to see where that is. And everybody's encouraged to snap photos and chat with them, welcome them to the area, and post the photos to get the excitement up for our Tape Art Pageant Day, which is July 27th, 1 p.m. at Kentucky Middle School.
Do the different venues, are they only up for a day? Do they come back down, or what happens?
For the length, hopefully for the length of the pageant, which of the festival, which runs until August 3rd, and then they come down. They're supposed to stay up in rain and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how they do.
Is that the green tape?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green and blue.
That's the one over at Canosa.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing.
That's
It's cool
cool.
in pictures, but go there and see them in person and meet the artists. They're lovely people, and they have a lot of passion for what they're doing.
Really cool.
Thank you.
And West Newbury is going to be on Wednesday, they said, so
Yeah,
look.
they're finishing up, and they'll be coming in to some kind of iconic building.
And
I'll give it away, but an iconic.
You got to look around and find it.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
First item is appointment of Officer Johnson as interim police sergeant.
Chief?
Chief?
Good evening. I'd like to put forward Officer Johnson as the interim sergeant, acting sergeant for the department. And we've been down a sergeant's position about 6 months now. Now that I've been appointed chief, I'd like to fill the position with Jay. We're going to post for the permanent testing for the sergeant's position probably in February. Looking at getting it filled permanently before July 1st, the next fiscal year.
So it'd be an all spring kind of thing too?
Yeah, we have to post the test for 4 months according to our rules and regulations. So I'm
Of the accreditation.
thinking around February we'll post it. They'll provide them with study materials. We'll set a date for sometime in June for the actual test. And until then, it's an important position I have filled on the department. A lot of work to be done, and I think Officer Johnson is very capable of handling it.
That's the reason why. That was going to be my question. Okay. Well, I knew the answer. It was a rhetorical thing, but some people might say, why an interim and not why a sergeant? Yeah. So there's a reason.
Why does it take so long?
Yeah, there's a reason because of the accreditation process. There are some rules and regulations that you have to follow, and this is one of them.
Correct.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we appoint Royster J. Johnston as interim police sergeant for the town of West Newbury. Term ending until a full-time sergeant is appointed.
Any further comments, further discussion?
Just note, as the board is aware, the revised interim sergeant job description was reviewed with and approved by the union.
Okay.
Thank you.
I actually do have a question. So if you post in February, and you don't have, you enter your 120-day process until sometime, say, nominally middle of June, that gives you enough time to get somebody on board. it work, to transfer, to make the transition by the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Correct.
By July 1st.
And the patrolman's contract is, we're in the last year of their contract also, so I'm hoping the timing of negotiations and the appointing of at least one permanent sergeant can all coincide for July 1st start.
When the new patrolman's contract would be done.
All right, great, thanks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Now we want to discuss you have two reserve officer candidates.
Yes, Sarah Hinkle, stand up, Sarah, and Paul DeCoste.
Hi. Hi.
Both the candidates have completed the Reserve Academy for the state. They've both worked in law enforcement for a short time. They've passed the background checks, oral boards, all the necessary hiring requirements of the police department. And they both look like great candidates, and I'd like to put them both forward for appointment.
Mr. Chairman? Generally, we have them come up so we can ask them some, maybe some embarrassing or some type of questions.
You want one at a time or both?
We're not doing that anymore?
Okay,
Ask them what the procedure is and tasing selectmen and stuff like that?
we'll cover that.
Okay. Okay, no, I'm fine, thank you.
I don't have any questions, I'm good.
Make a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion that, to appoint Sarah Hinkle and Paul DeCosta as new reserve police officers.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
do we need to have an end date of the appointment?
Do we need a term?
It's generally an annual appointment, and we do it, our thing is it June 15th? It's 15th of 2020. If you would take that friendly amendment, Rick?
I would take that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Congratulations.
Welcome to West Newbury.
If you could take some pictures or whatever so we can get them for our, social media and stuff, that would be great.
I told him to come by tomorrow. Is that okay? What time's good for you guys?
I can come Wednesday
What time?
at 8 a.m., whatever.
Why can't we just do it right
Can we
now?
do it now?
Why can't they just leave? Oh, you have to print it. You know what the oath is, but you have to have it printed out, say it to them, then they have to sign it. Got it.
Come tomorrow?
8 to 4:30. He has to prepare the oath.
And Jay has some too.
There you go.
We have one, we have a.
Yeah, that would be probably the best time to take the pictures, and then, if you wouldn't mind somebody take them, then we can put them on our social media, that would be nice.
Chief, you have a candidate in dispatch?
Yes, he isn't here this evening, Anthony Pecci, dispatch candidate. He doesn't have any experience in dispatch per se, but he's been in telecommunications. He's worked with 911 installation. He's familiar with the systems. He passed all our testing and background. He looks like a solid candidate.
So do you think he's going to have availability?
Yeah, he doesn't have any other job at this particular time, so.
All I have is a question is, the way it's on the agenda, confirmation of appointment, what does that mean? Does that mean something different than just appointing him? Because I've never seen that
Yeah,
before.
that's part of the new.
The 15,
Manager thing.
is that the way that we get away from the 15-day thing?
No, so the police officer appointments are the board of selectmen's appointment. Dispatch is my appointment, but under the legislation, my appointments only become effective 15 days after I'm notified the board, so.
So we can speed it up.
Authorize the appointment and to waive the 15 days.
Got it.
So essentially, we need to move to waive the 15-day period.
Right.
That's it, that needs to be in the motion?
That is the motion,
Yeah.
because he's making the appointment, you're just waiving your.
I'd like to make a motion that we waive the 15-day waiting period that's required by the town manager's legislation for the intent appointment of Anthony Pecci as a part-time West Newbury dispatcher, term ending June 15th, 2020.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Any big problems during the bicentennial thing Saturday?
Everything went great. It was a long day. You know, first time a big event like that for the department, but came together well. I would like to recognize Sergeant Cena and Officer Parento. They put a ton of work in before Saturday to prepare for the day. I would like to recognize both of them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
While you're there, Chief, our next thing, we're gonna talk about the Rocks Village Bridge. I don't know if Angus or the chief has any further information on that, or
Nothing
what
further.
will happen in the future?
Nothing further. I spoke with a gentleman from Mass Highway the end of last week who's in charge of the Rocks Village Bridge, and he told me that, excuse me, repairs have been made. The bridge is fully functional. There are going to be further repairs in the future, but he intimated it would probably be after the fall, and I believe they're probably more cosmetic at this point than they are structural. But everything's fine, it opens and...
So there's no,
traffic.
just for the public's information, there is no safety issue with
None.
this. The bridge is completely safe?
Yes.
No, no weight restrictions or anything?
I don't know if the state is going to
No.
relook at that or height
I'm just
restrictions,
rhetorically
but
asking.
I have heard of nothing.
Okay.
The only thing I would ask is that if they're going to make some further things, maybe obviously they might have to plan, but keep in mind that the summertime would probably be the best if they're going to do that because of the buses coming across the bridge starting in September.
Right?
I don't know if
Yeah, I can reach out to
I don't know if it matters, but it
Mass
might be
Highway
worth saying.
again and see what they're looking at and how many days they think they're gonna need the bridge to be
They
working.
might not even realize that we're a regional school district and we bus people from Merrimack to from middle school and high school. You would think they would know, but
Okay.
But the guy that was with DOT, when I was coming back from something, asked me when he was opening the sign to, opening the bridge back up
Yep.
on that morning, he asked me if this was even West Newbury. He wasn't sure if it was or not.
Okay, I think they were from Boston, so that probably answers that.
And if, okay.
Where am I?
So, the bit that I read about it, so the posted maximum height is 12 feet 6 inches, and the vehicle was actually 13 feet.
Yes.
Measured. I'm just wondering, going forward, I mean, it's nothing we're gonna do anything about at this point, but, I've seen bridges where there was a height, excessive height warning system, like a light,
Or chains.
Right.
The chains that hang down or whatever.
Memorial Drive.
Because it's a cool old bridge and, cool new old bridge, but I'm wondering, how fragile it is relative to other, because of the type of construction it is, if there ought to be any provision there to try to avoid the same thing happening.
Right, I don't know if the historical nature of the bridge would prevent anything like that from being installed, but that would obviously be up to Mass Highway to look into that.
I think this is a unique thing too, Rick, because I think it wasn't like a truck, it was a truck with a container on the top. So and somebody driving it, which I think they didn't even understand, like a height. Most trucks have like a height on it, so everything failed on that. I think maybe the good thing was that it wasn't strapped on very well.
Well, the good thing was no one
So
was coming the other way, it would have been a real problem.
Yeah, it fell off rather than
Have
staying and hitting it.
Have they ever, they're a local company, have they ever gone back and forth across there before?
I would assume.
Yeah, I would assume that they have.
The driver claimed that he'd done it many times.
Yeah.
I think it was the way he phrased it, many times, with the same truck and the same container.
It doesn't make any sense, so.
Yeah.
Well, I think I don't think the container, see, it comes down like this. I don't think the container was on the truck properly, and every time he probably was right in the middle, maybe. Right, this time it was just kind of off to the
Slightly to
side
the
and
side,
slid,
yeah.
and it just hit enough. Well, I would hate to see the fines for that one.
I know, right?
And Haverhill took care of, Haverhill
State Police truck team and the Haverhill Police.
took care of all that
the
kind of stuff.
accident and tickets.
Thank you.
Okay, well, something that, it didn't turn out to be as bad as we all thought, fortunately.
Thank you.
Thank you. Street opening permit, 7B Arkless Hill Road.
Congratulations. It's a big freaking.
As far as I was concerned, everything seems to be in order. Wayne really puts these things out very conscientiously, lots of details, so.
Make a motion to approve street opening permit for 7B Arkless Hill Road with all the stipulations within.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
First off, I'd like to thank everybody that put in really long hours, lots of things that the town has never had to deal with before. Public safety, the fire department, the DPW, the town manager, emergency management, I'm probably forgetting.
All the volunteers.
All the volunteers, Rick Fury for making a spectacular light show, that was great. Who else? Who am I forgetting?
Bicentennial Committee.
Well, I said that.
Oh, you didn't, I'm sorry. All the volunteers, all the parkers. Now, did we get, hey, did you, Ann, did you return that vest? Or did you keep it?
Can I plead the fifth on that?
So I know you want to be Dick Cushing for Halloween next year.
Just want the walkie-talkie.
So again, thank you. I think it turned out great. We had great weather.
You could, the whole week
Everything was
was terrific.
Yeah.
But it was an immense amount of planning, and thank you, Angus, for doing that, taking kind of the lead on the planning with the Bicentennial Committee, because it seemed flawless because of all the planning that went involved, and it was excellent.
I mean, we had to do things that West Newbury hasn't done before. A lot of other towns are used to putting on these kinds of things. We weren't, so we were starting with reinventing the wheel, and and the wheel ran really well.
There you go, look at that.
If I might just, in short, credit goes where credit's due, that it really was the committee that did all of the planning. My office of public safety and DPW were definitely supported, and a lot of people did put in a lot of effort to make sure all the details and logistics and everything worked out, but all the programming, all the vision, a lot of the details that you saw in there was really all committee. It was a real good team effort, and as with anything, there's lessons learned on the back end in terms of what we might have done differently, but I can tell you, speaking for myself and others on staff, we are delighted with how it all turned out. Seemed like everybody was attended, had a terrific time. Logistics went very well, and just a really wonderful week of events.
Everything, the different bands at the different things were great. Food was great. Everything was great.
It was just
the two hip hop guys were great on Friday night. They were amazing.
It was just a great community event.
Let's do it again in 200 years. There you go.
Good luck.
There, that.
Okay,
We'll probably have some pins left over. We can reuse them at that point.
and isn't there going to be some type of a closing ceremony? And we're going to talk about that next week?
That's right.
Right.
They're aiming at the date's TBD. They have a date in mind, but I don't want to get ahead of them. But looking at October, And they requested to be before the selectmen a week from tonight with a question about location of buried time capsule for the, and I'm sure at that time they'll, share their thinking about.
Yeah, if, it- and I was talking to the committee about that, and if anybody has any amazing ideas about where they think might be an interesting place to put the time capsules that isn't an obvious one, send an email, so just something to think about.
It just, I know it's going through everybody's head here and probably at home. The time capsule will not be big enough to put me in it, so, so you can,
To contact the town manager if they have ideas?
Sure.
No, they have to, don't have the bicentennial,
Contact the bicentennial committee?
it's on the website, the email, right?
They do, yeah. If anyone sends our ideas our way, we'll send to the committee. But
Yeah.
We'll have that email address.
and we're gonna start, it's gonna be on our next meeting. So it might be better to report about it when they're here at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, again, thank you, and everyone deserves a great pat on the back. The next item on the agenda is an assessment of potential repair of the carports building and a proposal to get administrative funds from that to prepare a proposal that could be reviewed at town meeting for actual brick and mortar, literally repairs to start on the building. But first we need a engineering and architectural assessment of that so that we can develop cost proposals for actual brick and mortar repairs. So that's what we're going to look at now. Angus, do you want to talk about that for a second?
You've actually done a really nice synopsis. It's basically we know that the building needs investment. We know the time is not on our side, and we know and we have every expectation that before proposing to town meeting potentially significant investment in bricks and mortar improvements, people will look for some clarity on what is to be done, what's it going to cost, and without the assistance of the historic architects and structural engineers, we don't have the capability in-house to answer those questions in a serious way. So the idea is to petition the Community Preservation Committee for the due diligence needed to be able to bring a proposal to town meeting that's informed and based on some solid cost estimates. With that said, the proposal that we received from the team does exceed what is available without a town meeting vote. So as you saw in the narrative, the proposal that they've costed out would take restoration plans through the design and development stage. That's not going to be supportable without vote of funds by town meeting. However, the principal architect, Lynn Spencer, has verified that for about half that amount, for about $15,000, they could take plans through the schematic design stage, which will, while it won't give us the outside cost estimators estimates, it will give us enough clarity to shop those ideas around and get some more informal costs from prospective vendors or those who are for construction. So I think it will give us what we need to bring an informed proposal to the fall town meeting. Hopefully the fall town meeting, that's the goal. And some portion, obviously the scope of that, any such proposal will be determined by the Board of Selectmen as the sponsoring entity. But I would think that fall town meeting proposal would include a continuation or completion of this assessment and kind of preparation of restoration plans, as well as some amount of investment in the physical structure.
So, Angus, where do we think that we can get the 15,000 to do that?
So we're looking to request half of that amount, $7,500 from CPC administrative funds, and with the balance to be paid out of, there's a couple of different lines in the operating budget that I think can reasonably go toward this purpose, and there's also potential for some private contribution. So that's the idea.
How much is in, what's the total amount in the CPC administration
The
fund?
total amount, when you net out basically the primary expense for the administrative funds is the administrative assistant, and so when you do the math on that wage and the maximum hours allocated, if that was the work that was done over 52 weeks, it would leave about 9,600, little less than 10,000 as not spoken for, and then you back out of that the dues the town pays or the CPC pays to be part of the Community Preservation Coalition, and it still leaves. If 7,500 was approved, there would still be a few $100s for supplies. I've reassured the CPC admin that, you know, if it got down to it in the winter or spring and they need paper or colored ink cartridges, you know, my office can always provide that support, provided, you know, we've got it in our budget.
Does the committee or town meeting have the capability of changing the percentage of, in other words, halfway through the year, can they say, okay, we're going to take 1% from historic preservation and 1% from recreation or whatever to add back to the administrative, or is that impossible? I think it's impossible, but
I believe it's impossible, that 5% statutory.
Yeah, I think it's
You
limited to
can't do
5%. It's
under any circumstance.
You can't even take the money, there are the three buckets, and then there's the unallocated.
Right.
In other words, I think
You can't use the
take
unallocated either?
To admin.
Okay.
Right.
But you can obviously,
Everybody needs to use a microphone, please.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
but you can- obviously, the town can add money to the admin funds, meaning it's not CPC money.
Oh, okay.
They did a free cash transfer of $1,000, $2,000.
A reserve fund transfer.
Reserve fund transfer. You
Okay.
can- Or even an interdepartmental transfer. It just can't be, you can't use more than of what you collect in the CPC at 5%.
Okay.
Can you
So
start?
my question, Angus, the architectural people that gave us the quote and so forth, they're saying that about 30 is what they need, but with 15 we could get enough information. Is that really true? In other words, if we spend the 15,
That's right. I was
is it
gonna go on
not
this.
going to be, are we going to get, you know, garbage in, garbage out? Are we not going to get enough information with the $15,000 amount of work that they do, that we're not going to then be able to get viable or at least reasonable quotes from contractors that would be useful? In other words, they're saying 30 is what we really need, but if we only have 15, are we just sort of in for a penny, in for a pound? We're not getting enough information for the 15. Do you think we are?
Let me preface before I answer the question. So if you look at the breakdown of the budget that they proposed, the total that's earmarked for subcontractors is
Do you know what page you're on, please?
The very last one, Glenn.
page 47. You can see what breaks down into design development.
You have,
Everything
look for
below
that little
line-
guy. It's right there.
Everything below that line.
Very last page. I'm sorry, can you go ahead and say that again, Angus?
So everything that's shown under the design development phase goes beyond what would be supportable, and you can see that that includes payments to for certain work from the structural engineer, the civil engineer, and the cost estimating consultant. So.
But that's what we're actually trying to get is a cost estimate.
So,
Here,
but we're trying, and we're gonna do it the other way around. We're gonna get that and then ask contractors to give us whatever.
right, which is not.
We can't come up with $29,000?
Not within the operating budget. I mean, we could go to town meeting, and this is something the board could choose to do instead. The concern that we've had, or I've had primarily because of what I've heard from different people around town, is that if proposals brought to the town meeting just for study, that people may roll their eyes and say, you know, it's been 5 years, how is it that we're just proposing a study now? So the intent is to have enough of an idea of cost that in addition to proposing the additional design work that would be needed to take the schematic design through design development, that we would have enough of a sense on, say, one or more element of physical work that could be part of a proposal at town meeting, because just the idea that people, if they're putting money down, are going to want to see something tangible in the field and not just what people might perceive as.
So we can come up with 15.
That's a tough
Yeah,
question.
we can come up with 15 grand. It's not, we're not coming up with 30. So we need an extra 15 grand somewhere. We can't find 15 grand. A reserve fund transfer, this was unforeseen. Maybe one of our technical and whatever accounts from the selectmen's budget.
That's
part
where
of
he's
our-
getting the other 7.5.
That and buildings and grounds, those are the two expense accounts I'm looking to hit.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that now.
Yeah, and certainly a reserve fund transfer could be proposed. From where I sit with FinCom, I think it would be an uphill climb, especially so early in the fiscal year. It could certainly be proposed.
But we could then have a article in fall town meeting to put the 15 grand back in.
Yes, you could.
Okay, that's.
Put it back
because
into
I'm
the-
just thinking, in my past, as a FinCom person, I would have a hard time approving this as sort of an emergency, unforeseen thing, because you could very easily say, this has been discussed for years. It's not an emergency by reserve fund transfer
Well, half of them on anyway.
situation.
I know, but I think more, listen,
Get it done before winter. I mean, getting something.
yeah, it's more I think is better if we're gonna go in front of the town. I can't
No,
imagine, I
that's
can't
why-
imagine,
that's
I know,
my question, yeah.
I can't imagine we can't find 15 somewhere and then put it back in at the fall town meeting. Because I think it's important to get this ball rolling if we're gonna do it. And now, the other devil's advocate would be the study we did in, what was it, 2014? Why can't we use that? And then get the cost estimates off of that. Has the building changed that much? It's kind of a rhetorical question, just because I know people are saying that. Well, he's the chairman, I'm not. Microphone.
One up.
Excuse me. I'm Peter Rand. I'm on the committee and I'm a retired architect that specialized, one of the aspects of my practice was in preservation. What we're looking at is a study that was done, a feasibility study. And the next phases are in fact the design process that you go through when you have an architect, which we're talking about as a continuum with the firm that did the preliminary study. So we're talking about schematic design and design development. That still doesn't get us to contract documents and bidding and construction. But the further you can go in the design phase, and if you could find the money to go through the design development phase,
Which is the 30 grand.
which is the 30 plus or minus,
But yeah, I mean,
I think that you then have a professional cost estimator estimating documents as opposed to calling up somebody and saying, what do you think it's going to cost to repoint the building, to rebuild this, or to fix that roof? Or,
Yeah.
I think it gives us much more solid information to go to fall town meeting. You have a presentation of what is gonna be done, what the cost estimates are from professional estimators, and the architect there saying.
All the questions that
Okay.
everybody's gonna be asking are all the ones we're not,
Hopefully, we'll have
all the ones we don't
the
have.
answers to
If we don't,
90% of those
yeah,
questions.
Is that a doable amount of work before October? Can the?
That's a good
can they-
question.
Can they
I
get this,
can speak to that. because-
can they get this done before?
Well, their schedule says that they would have it done sometime in September, I believe, didn't they?
It does, but that's based on the full budget and the full scope, which is not supportable without, in my estimation, without a town meeting vote. Because, Glenn, to your point, so whether that's allocation of CPC funds or, Glenn, to your question about whether there's other money elsewhere in the budget, I think, for example, we budgeted for some of the new hires for family plans, health plans, and we ended up hiring people with single. So there is some money that's not gonna be spent for the budgeted purposes, but it's not in a category that could potentially be put toward this. So
but it will be at the end of the year, so if we use the building and grounds money or expense money from the DPW, we could use that, and then by the end of the year, we're allowed to transfer lines, if there's money left over, to make up some deficits that we've seen through the year. And then I would use the 30 grand, and I would use it from the DPW to get, if we're gonna do this, then I would say, if we don't have the money, don't even bother going to fall town meeting. I would get the money and then get an article to reimburse that, whatever line item that we took it out of expenses from the DPW on fall town meeting, and if that doesn't pass for some strange reason, then we do it again in the spring, and we'll have the opportunity from savings from hires and stuff to be able to transfer money from line items to be able to make up that 15 grand. And then we have a document. If we don't have that document, those are all the questions everybody's gonna be asking, and we're not gonna have really answers for them.
We're gonna have bad data.
Exactly.
And so, but that's not really
Everything that
what it's
everybody
gonna
wants
cost,
is-
and we can't really give a definitive that that's what the roof is, a new roof is, it's just a guess.
Those questions and what are you gonna do with the building are the only things gonna be asked. I'm telling you, and I would like a nice, good, crisp document, so then we can move on and get done, and get everybody happy, and then get it going.
Or up or not, but people have to be able to vote on good information, yeah.
My fear is that if it's not complete, it gives a reason for people to vote no. And then we wasted the $15,000 to begin with. And we're not talking about 100. If we're talking about 100, I would say this is ridiculous. We can find $15,000.
Yeah, and the other part of this is that, in that 5 years, the building has continued to deteriorate.
Mhm.
And I don't know who made the decision, but somebody didn't put the heat on last winter.
That's a big, no, I'm gonna disagree with you.
Okay.
Somebody hasn't put the heat on in like 4 or 5 years, and that's been a huge bone of contention with us, with me personally.
I mean,
And it should have been put on.
heating a masonry building
It hasn't been just one year.
causes substantial deterioration of the building itself.
And it's a new heating system that we put in,
And there is a new
Right?
heating system in there.
Bob, right, we put that-
Under the work 5-6 years ago.
yeah, we put a new heating system in and then we shut it off. I didn't want that shut off. I fought, but nobody listened. I agree with you. So it would be my proposal,
You're one of the 3 people that everybody should listen to, so.
could you do me a favor and write that down so I can bring it home to my wife?
Anything you say.
But I would say, I would use the 750 and the 750, whatever it is out of the technical thing, and then instruct Angus to find it out of the DPW budget the best he can, and support the whole $30,000 and move forward with it as fast as we possibly can to get this done for town meeting. That would be my.
I would agree with that. Either we have really good information
Or none at all.
none. Yeah.
I don't think we do it half-baked, if you don't have good information, then you're just gonna get garbage.
Too late, because it gives people a reason to vote no.
Right.
we're all voting on just bad information, or not bad, but just not as good.
It's just questionable. Let's not say it bad because somebody could,
Yeah.
questionable information.
Yeah, exactly.
Incomplete.
Incomplete, yeah.
Ann?
I know,
Sorry, I mean.
this is before my time.
I know.
Turn green.
Yeah, it will if you,
Can I wait a second?
yeah, you gotta hold it like for 2 seconds. Boom,
It's still red.
we lied to you.
No, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Sorry, Ann.
So I'm really happy to hear you guys supporting this full project, because obviously that's the better answer. Money-wise, it is problematic, but I think there are some creative arguments that can be used before the FinCom to say that this was not reasonably anticipated. We had conditions assessment. First phase, they broke it up into 2 phases. The first phase was critical repairs that needed to be made, and the expectation was that the second phase was going to take place at some point. For whatever reason, that second phase didn't get followed up on, and when we went to look at the second phase in the conditions assessment, we realized that the building had fallen into such disrepair, we needed to update the report that we thought was a valid report when we walked into the building the first time. So I don't think it was reasonably expected that, that we were gonna be able to, just fix this thing with a 5-year-old report, so.
It's a good point. And I would say that we would, the FinCom's meeting in 2 weeks, maybe we can try, ask for 15, but say, we understand that it's early in the year. If you give us 5, if you give us 7, if you give us 8, we can take it out of, then that's less money than we're taking out of that. Or we just take it all out of the one thing and try to put it all back in one thing at the fall.
But I think you're absolutely right about this community. People want real answers. If you get to a schematic design and then you have unofficial, my buddy can do it for this price, that is not.
That's not good,
that's
no.
not gonna fly.
Because this is gonna fall under the public bid laws.
Yes, yes.
So, we gotta have.
And we just spent, and we wasted the 15 grand. That's,
We wouldn't, I mean, I understand that they can probably pick it up and finish the job, but what's the point then? Because the whole problem is we need to get this building in some kind of position for the winter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean,
timing is of the
the thing is,
essence.
the further it goes, every winter it goes through now, there's another step down. And so, an evaluation you do now, 2 years from now,
It's not gonna be valid anymore.
isn't gonna mean
The
anything
building's
anymore.
gonna stand.
don't have to start it over again, it'll be 45.
Well, I don't know how much work, to be honest, I don't know how much work we can get done
Before winter?
before the winter. That, I think that's a little overly optimistic, yeah.
But I think also too, if we have a report for fall town meeting that says, this is gonna cost $2 million to fix this building, I'm exaggerating, but who God knows, then the town can decide, do we really want to invest that money, or are we just gonna say,
Right,
I think there's a decision. Obviously, the town voted that they were in favor of it when they voted to fund the $99,000 for the first CPC conditions assessment. So the town was in favor of saving the building then, but I think it's only fair to give them a realistic price for bringing that building back.
and the only way people for or against can vote intelligently is if they have good information.
So, I think we beat this to death. So,
I think it's great.
no, I understand, but do you understand our
I
charge?
think it's very clear. So where the,
So you become creative how to get the money, and we'll support you however you want to do it, other than like robbing somebody.
So we'll go forward with the Thursday night proposal, but I'll modify, if I'm hearing the board correctly, I'll modify the CPC application to present that the $7,500 being requested there represents roughly a quarter of the total cost. We'll
Yes.
modify the application to make up the balance with operating budget. And what I will plan to do for a week from tonight is put into your packet what I'm proposing, so that you have in front of you the trade-offs. I hear what you're saying, and I totally agree with it in terms of, for whether it's with a budget amendment or whether it's a line item transfer, late in the year. But I obviously want to make you aware of the downside if we expend that and it's not made whole, what will we be giving up? You know, is that trees planted, is that sidewalk work, whatever. Not to say we shouldn't do it, because I think we should do it, but just so everyone's clear on what the trade-off is. The fact is, as I said, I think there's some expense budget lines that because of specific things that weren't knowable at the time the budget was proposed, I do think that money can be found within other operating lines, and so that's something where a package of minor budget amendments at the fall town meeting, it would basically be cost neutral.
Let's do it.
But I'll write that up for you, and, but in the meantime, that's how we'll proceed.
Okay.
I really support that.
Cool. Thank you. Hey, Bob, see what happens when you get people on the committees? And it's not only you, you don't have to talk.
That works sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's good.
That's great, thank you.
Good night, thank you.
While they're still here, we've got the next,
Oh, the charge?
which is the committee itself and the charge.
Mhm.
So, as so often happens today, went sideways, so I didn't make further progress, but I did, want to call attention to the document that you have in your, kind of a statement of interest or principles.
So I can just a couple sentences, I'll just read them, yeah. So the mission statement that the Carpost Committee had composed themselves, the mission statement says, to preserve the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Building as the unique structure that it is through its historic and architectural restoration methods, to provide our community with a safe repository for town memorabilia that cannot be displayed elsewhere, establish a learning center that increases the diffusion of knowledge of the town of West Newbury to its residents. And the vision statement is to collect, catalog, archive, protect, and display all manner of photos and documents relevant to the history of West Newbury, past, present, and future. So that's a very broad, encompassing mission statement to, obviously, it pertains to the usage and the physical structure itself. So everything that
When was this made, Mr. When was this written, Mr. Chairman? Does anybody know? Was this a long time ago, or was this recently?
I did that a year or so ago.
Okay.
So I was curious of the vision statement. How does that dovetail with the Historical Society and, you know, the building the Historical Society has, you know, in terms of, you know, a place to catalog, archive, protect? You know, they should be complementary somehow, and I'm just curious.
This was the library in town here.
Correct. It was used as a library. It wasn't the library. I think it was used for a period of time as the library, right? Yeah.
I thought I was going to get away without speaking.
Me too.
There's about, and I think you gentlemen have heard me say this before, there's probably 10 or 12 boxes of material upstairs in the library that are totally related to the Civil War. And all the people from this town that fought and died in the Civil War. That stuff, I'm looking at a way of trying to preserve that and digitize it, but it should be displayed someplace where people can see it. The Historic Commission, or the Historic Society, doesn't have room to display that.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of things in their building that they don't, it's not really up to them, or it's not their purview, if you will. And they would like to find a place to put some of that stuff. There are still some things that used to be at the library that are now in the police department, being stored there, like the old rifles, swords, and stuff like that. That again, I think should have a place to be displayed. And I have probably 250 names and grave registrations for just Civil War veterans. of everything in town, it should have a place to be displayed. And I've also been doing that with everybody that I can find from the Revolutionary War up until that, you understand. And all that stuff, I still think should have a place where it can be displayed. The Hills House isn't, designed for that. That building is. And I just think that, not just the military history of the town, but a lot of the other stuff too should be having just, it can't be displayed someplace else. I think that should be a good spot. The other thing that, we've talked periodically about the town possibly taking over all the cemeteries in town. That would be an ideal spot to have a cemetery commission where they could keep a computer program for all the cemeteries in town, all the graves in town, all the records in town, could go there. And could be open to the public as many days a week as they want.
I think it kind of evident to me during this past week with the tremendous historical artifacts, or whatever you want to call them. I'm sorry. I'm not making light of them, but that was at the town hall across from the library with the bicentennial thing. That it just showed there was so much stuff just put in people's closets, put in people's up in attics and stuff like that, that we need a safe, dry. So when we're doing this, I'd like to make sure these architects know too, this is what the usage will be, so we make sure that we're not, right off the bat, because I thought it was tremendous seeing all the history and all the stuff in the town, and it made me think that we need a place, and that is the perfect place for something like that.
Right, the only thing is, we're talking about artifacts and things that have to be protected, so
Controlled.
right now, the building is like the worst place on the planet to put something. It's wet and it's got mice and everything else. So that has to be like the last step, unfortunately.
Yeah, if you have any boats or anything, they're good in the cellar. There's not a problem down there.
I mean, a couple of other things that, over the years, people have come to the library and wanted to drop off stuff, whether it's family history or it's other stuff that they have. They don't have the room for it. They have to turn it down.
We have the room down in the basement down here that we've tried to do, but we've outgrown that. That's another thing that we might want to start, the historical somebody, get some money maybe this fall or in the spring, that we have to get some building or something over here, somewhere to try to secure and preserve in some type of controlled atmosphere. I mean, if we have something controlled, then we bring it over to that building, we display it, almost have exhibits and stuff like that, then you bring something else in, then you keep on,
Do the same thing day after day, keep swapping things out. There are a few people in town that are good archivists and know what they're doing, and we could, the town could reach out to them too.
Okay, I think we're all in agreement.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Sound good?
I would say that, one, the committee is reconstituted, and maybe tonight, a week from tonight, we'll take another crack at that, because I think we're getting very close to having a written charge. One thing that will be very helpful to be part of that is to help, as this informal citizen group has done, help get the information out, because it's so much more efficient if I can have a conversation with a couple of people, and they then go do the social media and get all the stuff. That's a tremendous support to my office.
Good.
Thank you for that.
I think you can get up now. It won't be a false alarm this time. See you guys, thank you.
You have a couple of committee appointments. I'm still looking for the page. Hang on.
There's more than a couple, isn't it?
I don't think there's too many.
Okay.
Four, okay. So I want to make a motion on these.
Sure, I'll move to appoint Lucy Dennis, to.
Dennis Lucy.
No, Lucy is the first name.
Yeah, that's my error.
Okay. Okay, I was wondering what that was. Sorry, so it is Dennis Lucy, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so Dennis Lucy, to reappoint to the, as an alternate
Second. Term ending?
6/15/2020.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Move to appoint Allison Tedeschi to Cultural Council for a term expiring on June 15th, 2020.
Do I have a second?
Second, I'm sorry.
I have a question. So why is this one only,
1 year.
1 year?
Requested reappointment, is that what she wanted, or should we?
Should be 3 years for
Yeah.
social council.
Yep. Why don't we just make it 3 years?
I think we should, it
2022.
should be 2022, I think, yeah.
Okay. So I guess that's a motion, a friendly
Yep.
change to the motion.
Mhm.
2022.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then move to appoint Phillips Robinson to the Energy Advisory Committee for a term to expire June 15th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And then I move to appoint Elizabeth Hatch, Liz Hatch, a new member to the Energy Advisory Committee.
Great.
For a term to expire again at June 15th, 2020.
All in favor?
I'll second that.
Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Good. Moving right along.
Next is disclosure of financial interest with Nathan Kelly, who is a member of the FinCom and also works on
He just got a job at Whittier.
correct. Whittier Voc and the FinCom does review Whittier's line item budget in the town, so he's recognizing a conflict of interest in there. He has a financial interest on that line item, so he.
Mike, do we vote on, what he submitted to us, disclosure of this thing, so the motion would be that we would approve,
We're just aware.
this thing,
Right.
Yes, which right now
yeah.
says that you find basically is that his conflict is not substantial enough to prevent him from doing his job as a FinCom member.
Mhm.
It's a proviso, but he obviously has to recuse himself from any matters regarding committee.
Correct.
And I would agree with that.
Yeah.
The Whittier is a very small amount of the
Well, it's-
FinCom job.
And it's given to us. There is really no deliberation. It's a formula. We have 7 kids, we pay whatever the amount is.
Right.
It's not like we can
We
say.
can't even deliberate on it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's, the overall scheme of the function of the FinCom.
It's
probably,
minuscule.
0.01%.
Yeah.
It's probably it's
Probably the smallest thing ever, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so I would make a motion that we would approve the Financial Committee member Nathan Kelly's disclosure of the financial interest in Whittier Voc with the provisions that he would not act on anything dealing with Whittier Voc. Anything. That would include not just the budget, but any capital plans, anything.
Right.
Okay, and that was seconded?
Further discussion, all in favor?
Aye. You don't have to wait for me.
Okay. Right, and the town is preparing a Mass Works grant application will be due in August for communities, small communities like ours, I believe under 7,000 in population, for this type of getting some assistance to potentially paying for this bridge repair. And also we want to draft a memorandum of understanding for us to cooperate with Newburyport in the overall organization, planning, and work related to the bridge.
That's right. If I could just call your attention to a couple of specific items. So one question that needs to be decided is what design concepts to include with a grant application. As you recall, there were about 7, maybe 6 or 7 in the last design iteration, and BSC Group, who supports us with a grant application, has advised you don't put in 7 options. You need to kind of give here your 2 options, and so not because the public meeting hasn't taken place, and we haven't gotten broad public input on that, we kind of have to make a judgment call on what 2 concepts to include in there. So at the staff level, myself and Wayne and BSC engineer, we all feel that the 2 that you have in front of you, both of which are narrower lane widths that can be supported within the DOT guidelines. One with a sidewalk, one without a sidewalk. Those are the 2 that I put in front of you. That's not a foregone conclusion. The board could say we want to put it in, but we want 2 different concepts. So that's something we have a couple of meetings scheduled between now and the grant deadline. We have a meeting next week and another meeting August 5th. So that's a good example of something to drill down more on that. We could add that to a future agenda and we could get into that question. I just wanted to make you aware we had to kind of make a judgment call of what 2 design concepts to include, and those are the 2 that we recommend. Another item on the grant is letters of support are enormously important to a proposal like this. Newburyport has agreed to write a letter of support, and now that the kind of bicentennial has passed, I'm going to start putting out a lot more on social media on this project so people are aware of what's going on. And if we can get resident letters of support, that's all going to be really helpful. So again, I'll put that out through the email blast and the social media, but just to make you aware, that's going to be part of our focus for the next couple of weeks.
Are numbers important?
I think both numbers and quality. And that doesn't mean people need to write a treatise on it. It could be a really short letter, but something compelling. The form letters, as you've all seen, those don't. I don't know how much good those do, but if it's clear to the grant administering entity that people care about this bridge, that's really all they need to know.
I mean, I think even now, it's good for the public that are listening. Anyone that really feels strongly about the Middle Street Bridge and as a user of the bridge, or as someone that walks over it, or bikes over it, or runs over it, or uses the area for fishing. If you feel strongly about this and want to help the process to get it forward, forward a brief letter of support on this ASAP to the town manager.
Now, would it be good in those letters to say things like that we've lost egresses out of town and we don't want to lose another one?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that would be very important, to get the neighbors and saying that this is a mode of transportation for them to get back and forth to Newburyport, that we've lost.
Or even like things like someone that has an elderly relative that needs quick access to the ambulance service or something like that, or any reason that would strengthen the need for the bridge to be replaced as soon as possible.
Sounds good.
So the specific request to the board is to authorize the submittal of the grant. But before I ask you for that vote, I want to say that, again, there's 2 regularly scheduled meetings before the grant deadline. I'm happy to bring a draft of the grant in front of you because that kind of input is really helpful. I didn't do that tonight because you already had a lengthy packet. But we do have a pretty substantial draft. There are a couple of questions we're focused on. So Wayne and I he's out of town this week, but we'll be working on that again starting next week. So if you'd like, I could provide a more substantive summary, or I could send it around and you can comment that way.
But I like, this is this is, to my way of thinking, this is a no-brainer. We have to apply for this, so like, there's no reason. not to.
We have to apply for it, and what more that, what I could say that you and Wayne wouldn't
I
have.
would
Just
support
do it.
it right now, yeah,
Just do it.
yeah. My only question on the drawings, Angus, I can't remember now, was the 24-foot wide road surface, which is on the one with and without a sidewalk area, the road surface of 24 feet wide, was that the narrow one, or was that the wider one?
My recollection, that's the narrow one, because you got 11-foot lane widths and then a foot on either side.
Actually, the narrowest configuration was 22 feet.
I think the narrow was
Yeah,
22.
it was 22,
yeah.
there was one configuration was 22 feet, and there was a 24-foot, without a sidewalk, 24-foot with one sidewalk, 24-foot with two sidewalks.
I think that's, because I,
Recall, we looked at the numbers, it was only a $30,000 difference between, the projected cost or estimated cost.
that's right,
It's only
yeah.
a $30,000 difference to add the extra 2 feet, and at which point it's, you just.
So what do we think about that? Do we want to go for the extra 2 feet, or?
My inclination would be yes, because, quite honestly, having gone over that bridge, like probably say hundreds of times.
Probably on a bike, probably on a car.
So many times on a bike, sometimes a car, but the bridge gets used a lot as a positioning place for fishing, whether it's adults or kids. And most of the fishing is on the upstream side, but sometimes it's on the downstream side too. And by having a wider roadway, it just makes it safer because no matter what you think you can prevent, people are going to go to the downstream side and fish off there too, even if there is a
Even
sidewalk.
if we had sidewalk on one side, that's not going to stop people from going to the
Right,
other.
so by
Yeah.
having the extra 2 feet, we can, bias the lane so you have a
Just
wider,
a
wider
safety
shoulder,
cushion, yeah.
A wider shoulder on that side. I mean, that's my thought at least.
Okay. I would agree with you, because I know the road itself is even narrower.
It is narrower than that, exactly.
It's
So
way
it's-
narrower,
Right.
but what the heck,
Right,
yeah.
Right, so, but that way we can allocate a good wide shoulder on that.
Right, exactly.
Okay,
So I want to make a motion on approval of that grant. Somebody?
Second.
Okay, all right. That was pretty informal, but, okay. Well, I make a motion to authorize Angus to pursue the Mass Works grant application.
With our,
And Glenn seconded already.
yeah, second, but discussion with our kind of recommendations of what to do about the bridge and all that kind of stuff, right? You got that? 30 feet, okay, good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then, related issue, this is purely informational, but I did include just a recent thread about, some resident concern that had come in, and, we went down, took a look, took some photos, and, we feel like right now it is, well secured, and people should be going onto the broken part of the bridge, but as you can see from the photos, there's good fencing, good signage, and, Chief Durant is,
I biked across it recently, and it's pretty blocked off well, yeah.
I should have taken a picture. I rode across it today, and there were a bunch of people fishing on the bridge, and I'm trying to remember.
Where were they, Rick? Because the chain link is on one side.
Yeah, I'm trying to recall. There may have been somebody who was actually around inside the chain link.
Probably,
Yeah. You can't prevent everything.
Yeah.
It's just impossible.
You can't fix stupid.
Yeah. They can say that.
If you're on the other side,
Right.
you're okay, great. There's people kicking in, buffaloes lying down. Yeah, how are you gonna do it?
Okay, where are we? We're on, okay.
And I'd be interested in hearing Glenn's thoughts on the same meeting I was at, but I thought that the last school building committee meeting was really one of the best ones I've been to in terms of the, some really good discussion, a lot of it focused on, naturally past the vote thresholds, and obviously it's a fair amount of importance to all of us, budget control. And so we talked quite a bit with the design team about the, kind of timing and the method of notice to the building committee of any potential cost overruns. We don't want to know about them after, like, here's the bill. We want to know kind of preemptively, as soon as they have any sense that something might be going, trending above. And there's a lot of nuance there between the building committee, working group that's getting into some more detail. So one of the takeaways that came out of the last building committee meetings of the working group is going to start providing meeting minutes to the building committee so we can have better insight into what is that threshold for what issues are kind of dealt with there versus the building committee. Any change orders would need to go through the school building committee, but if I understood it correctly, Glenn, I know you were listening too, is I understood that to be certainly on construction change orders, but there's also the design contingency, which it didn't sound to me that was something that needed committee approval.
I didn't,
So
I didn't get that.
the construction. So there's a lot in these minutes. I'll continue to share these as I receive them going forward, but my takeaway, and then I would really love to hear Glenn's perspective because it was a really interesting meeting. My takeaway is we all need to remind ourselves, just because the project passed, it doesn't mean the work's done. That actually means the work begins. We have to really be focused on this project and to be as engaged as we can possibly be to help with cost control and project oversight in general.
Yeah, I think that was a theme of the meeting too, because the other two towns specifically wanted a little bit more heads up what was coming out of this working group. They kind of thought that, I think Angus spoke to that, about having the meeting minutes from that almost like decisions are being made in there, and they might be already too late for us just to kind of approve them. They kind of want to be able to be part of those decision makers.
So I think it would be useful if you told us who's in this working group.
Brad, the chair of the school committee, the superintendent, principal.
Greg Haddon, facilities manager.
That's a good question. I don't even think that.
But I think, there is nobody on the working group who is a town employee.
That's
Yeah,
why I was bringing
that's
it
the
up.
point
Yeah.
that we're being made. But the chairperson of the school committee is, because I just remember Andy being on it. I'm not sure if that's true any longer, but I remember when Andy was the chairperson of the school committee, he was on the working group. They had meetings every Thursday morning. So it was good. It was a good understanding of how we're going to start keeping cost controls down, overruns. I asked a lot of.
So how often is the school building authority going to get updates from this working group? Or
They're going to start getting them.
Project manager?
They're going to start getting them now. I mean, they have a few, there were a couple of benchmarks that they had to meet in the upcoming months, and then I'm not sure after that when the thing starts really getting going.
Again, like Angus's point is well taken, that if there's been a big, if the bill's already been encumbered, it's too late.
Well, I kind of questioned a lot of that, and then it was like a lot, the method that we're using, there's a lot of, what was the word? We have a lot of, we need a lot of good faith that everything's going to be managed well. And then I gave him an example of, we all think it's going to be managed well. What about the guy with the concrete and, the truck sat out in the whatever for too long, and then whose cost is that? I mean, those are the typical municipal things that people taxpayers get irritated with when they see a road being paved, and the next year it's just all dug up, and the person who put it down is not, there is no warranty, so to speak, on it. So there are a lot of safeguards, so we're not going to be able to be getting those, cost overruns or mistakes by, or like another one I used was, I bid the job at this amount, but then now it's in, I've doubled the job because of all these cost overruns. That seems to happen a lot. So this seems like they have a really good understanding and controls over this. Did you feel that, Angus? Well, we'll see when it starts going, but there are a lot of benchmarks and safeguards that we have to, have to meet.
Yeah, one of the key points, and Glenn referred to this, of the different milestones of design. And I don't remember all the percentages, but there's certain percentages of design where at that stage throughout the project, there's two independent, both the architecture team and the project manager who, I'm not sure if that's, anyhow, there's two entities that come up with updated cost estimates, and they reconcile those at each of these stages of design. And that's when we collectively learn if the project is on track with budget or if it's trending
One way or the other.
So, because the question came up, for example, at last week's meeting, there were a couple of items where the building committee was presented a couple of different design alternatives. So one example was like an orchestra pit for the Performing Arts Center. And so some direction was given on a preferred design, which happened to coincide with what the working group had felt was the preferred design. But later, as we got into the cost discussion, the question was asked, let's say the committee is kind of ad hoc giving this direction as these questions come up in these meetings, and then we get to the stage of design where you're doing costs and you say, oh geez, with all that direction you gave us, we're actually now trending above budget. There's something else that you thought you were going to get, but you're not going to get. And we don't want that. We want.
And they gave us assurance that it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, they did.
Another example was the field and the locker rooms and stuff for the field. So and there's enough contingencies in there. So if there are, we've been assured many times that people did make mistakes, and there are going to be made mistakes, and there's going to be stuff. But we do have enough money in there, and the state is a good watchdog on that also. These benchmarks that you have to bring and make sure that you're on budget, you have to report back to them. So it was a good meeting, but I think you're right, Angus. There's good decisions and that need to be made, and we have to keep on top of it, right down to tearing the other building down.
Can I ask you a question? The two of you that are sitting in on the committee meetings. I've had more than one person, a small handful of people, ask me about the site. How high it is above sea level, and we're talking about a long-term investment by three communities, by the school district, and just want to make sure that flooding has been given, and I suspect it has. I'm sure that's something that was part of the process the architectural firm went through as they were thinking this through. But where is the building relative to sea level? What consideration has been given to sea level rise? So things look good now, but 30 or 40 years from now, who knows? Nobody knows where things are going to be, and so it's just I kind of want to satisfy the curiosity of people who have asked me what I know about it.
I forget, we're going to get you that answer, because I know that was a factor and it was discussed early on or something in the design, the site development, but we'll, I think that's a very good question, Rick, and an important one to have the exact answer, not like me remembering half of it.
Right, and and it isn't, basically what you want to do is you want to have thought about the worst case.
Yep, of course.
And so if you have 5 feet of sea level rise and you have an equivalent of the flood of 1936, I think it was. What happens when those come together, and you just want to make sure that
we're ready for it.
Consideration has been given in the school so that we're protecting the largest public infrastructure project that the three communities have.
I will have that answer for you by our next meeting. I'll have it tomorrow, but I can email it to you.
Interestingly, it kind of ties back to this, the flood insurance rate maps that they're in the process of updating. So that's exactly the kind of location where we really want to scrutinize those maps. Not that that's the end all be all, but that is, in my experience, that's what the designers are going to design. Correct. The
Right, well, and, you know, we're about to embark on this, on the MVP program, you know, Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness Program, and that will certainly be a consideration, you know, that type of information will be a consideration as we go through that, so, you know, things all fit together.
Okay. Next. Proposal to establish a tree committee and review a draft charge. Don't we have?
That's been tabled.
Oh, it is? Why?
The person can't be here.
Don't we already have one? Ever? Ever?
They have a tree warden though, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It got cut down.
Okay.
So they have requested a date at an August meeting.
But if they could get us a proposal or whatever they're thinking they're doing it a lot ahead of time, you know, not just, you know, that night, I want to,
Well, yeah,
It's
what you have in
pretty
front of you
detailed.
is
yeah.
draft charge and a narrative that kind of writes up the background on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the issue is I was notified earlier today that the Open Space Committee hasn't actually voted the draft charge. They did initiate the intent to.
Oh, okay.
Such a committee, but they, you know, before it comes to the board,
Mm-hmm.
they want to make sure that the charge itself reflects the full endorsement of that committee.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Angus, do you want to comment on item 9?
Item N.
And, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I spent some time talking with Chairman Archibald about what would be a good way to go about goal setting this year, and one idea that seems to be gaining some traction is the idea of bringing together chairs of the various boards, committees, and commissions for kind of a roundtable discussion. The idea would be a public meeting, advertised for anybody who wants to be there, and certainly for any quorums or any committee, board, commission members, but with the format being focused on chairs to facilitate kind of a roundtable and people going around and talking about what their board, committee, or commissions, you know, how they see their work plan for the fiscal year, and then with the Board of Selectmen and myself trying to synthesize that into kind of an overall statement of priorities that this board would endorse, but that would be fully reflective of the input that you've gotten. So the idea, what I'm trying to avoid is what I perceived from last summer of, you know, goals were set and then goals were invited in writing, and we had all kinds of written goals from all kinds of sources, and you know, by the time we would have had any time to start to actually pull that together, it was then into the fall town meeting season, and kind of that roller coaster took off, and I felt like we were chasing our own tail and setting goals, and I thought that
So when would you,
everyone in one place might be a more efficient and effective way to do that.
when are you suggesting doing this?
After Labor Day, but first part of September.
So we have to make sure that all the committees and commissions and all that, they vet it themselves, because I don't want a chairperson coming here discussing this unless they're only
The
representing.
backing of their committee.
Correct, yeah, they're only representing, just because they're a chairperson, that doesn't mean anything, they just facilitate the meetings. That's all they're supposed to be doing, they're not a different member than anybody else. So there would have to be discussions with them, votes taken, obviously minutes and all that kind of stuff, so we get what the board or the commission wants, not what just an individual wants. But I think it's a great idea if that process happens.
I like it because a lot of what the town departments do, what town committees do, they do it in a vacuum. They know what their little charge is and what their, and it might be counter or at least conflicting with what other people are trying to do, and sort of make the town kind of work more as a whole. People are very good at what they do, but they may not know that even what some other board does, or wow, that's sort of like what we're doing, that this sort of occasionally big picture where people realize what other parts of the town are doing, I think would be a good idea.
Okay.
And the only thing I would say is, we don't want it to be, I think we have to keep it under control. It can't be like this could go on for like 10 hours. So it has to be structured so that it's not gonna be an unending talking, and we have to.
Well, put a time
Yeah.
limit on it, and we might have to have 2 meetings if it's gonna be this important. I don't wanna, but I would agree with that, Archie. This could go on forever.
Yeah.
Probably ultimately it would become something that's done on an annual basis.
We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, assuming.
I actually like it. I like talking
The
to,
idea,
I like talking to people rather than looking at paper. Because it means something more. You understand it, I think, better.
Oh, gee, now I see that. You really think that's important, that kind of thing, yeah.
Good idea.
So, Angus' thought is, on this, that it would be, sometime early September, you said?
Yeah, I mean, we've got kind of the concept, and I've got to flesh it out a little more, and I want to make sure it's just, to Glenn's point and other prep that I've, seen as being very important before people get there. We need to make sure it's far enough out that we can effectively get the word out of what the expectations are.
So let's say.
Because a lot of these people don't meet in the
I don't want some
summertime.
committee to have 10 goals. That's impossible. I think a committee should have 2 or 3, personally, so that we can all digest it. If 10 committees provide us with 5 or 8 goals, we can't, the heads will explode. There's too much information. Let's keep it simple, keep what's really important to you for the next coming year. You can disagree with me, but that's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
So we'll keep working on that concept and keep the board abreast.
And like, why not, Angus, inform, some committees don't meet that often. So inform them that, this week that we're gonna wanna do this by,
And a lot of them don't meet in the
Labor Day's
summer.
gonna show up before we know it.
No, the way you put that is summer will be done before you know.
Yeah, I don't wanna even say that. Updates from the town manager,
Stormwater.
stormwater, that seems like it's progressing very well. Yes.
Yeah, and I'll keep you apprised of that, and, it's a big effort, we've got some real leadership at the staff level, and we've got some limited outside consulting support, which has been very, necessary to meet the fiscal year end deadline.
Good.
Annual reports due the end of September, so that's our next work item. That's very important as well. So one thing you may notice if you track this, for instance, the town social media, you'll see posts periodically about stormwater, about non-point source pollution, those kinds of things. And partly we do that because it's good information to get out there, but partly that helps show compliance with our permit. Education outreach is part of what we are.
Oh, that's actually,
Yeah, so we
okay.
we do those social media posts, we also print it and put it in the folder, because those are the kinds of things you put in your annual report.
So,
A lot of documentation.
yeah. So is every town in America doing this?
Every town in America is subject to it, but it only applies within a defined urbanized area. So one of the really interesting policy things here in West Newbury is our defined urbanized area is a small subset of the town as a whole. I don't know what the percentage, but I guess it's 15% of the land area. It's not urbanized in any literal sense. It's just how it's defined based on the program. And so one of the questions that we've talked about a number of times with the staff working group is so our strict compliance with EPA is based on what we do within that urbanized area. But let's say we now have to require additional erosion controls, for example, within the urbanized area. The question I've talked over with the town planner and health agent and conservation and so forth is if you create this new set of standards that only applies in the subset of your town, that could become very confusing for applicants, could become confusing for the
Oh, I see, okay.
because all of a sudden you basically have a second set of regs. So even though if you apply that new standard town-wide, you are going beyond what the permit requires, it's administratively cleaner, it's actually clearer, communicating to the regulated entities, the developers or homeowners. But that's a policy question that at some point, as we get, remember, we just finished year one.
So let me just ask a for instance question. So in other words, in the out of that area, theoretically, you might not have to clean the catch basins as often.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly correct. So that ends up being a decision communities make on whether you want to apply these standards town-wide or just within the urbanized area. So we just finished year one of a 5-year permit, and each year is progressively more requirements and more regulation that we have to impose on development within that area. So those will be questions that you can expect to see, I don't think this fall, but probably maybe next spring. So if, let's say, the zoning bylaw is being amended to, ramp up the requirements in certain areas, is it better to just have that apply town-wide, or do you create a new district?
Well, I mean, if certain of the procedures that have to be done become costly, it may prove to be too
owners for.
No, it may prove worthwhile to have two sets of rules.
Right. Yes, very specific to the community. So to your initial question, the MS4 program applies across the whole country, but it's not every square inch of land within the country.
Okay.
Or anything close to it.
So the water tank is working on that, is starting this summer.
That's right. The town's contractor will start in August. The developer's contractor who's doing the offsite improvements for the Drake's Landing, they started work about a week ago, and I'm told that that's moving along very efficiently, very well. So you saw the letter in your packet that was sent out to that entire neighborhood, every house in that whole, all of those streets. So a week from tonight, you will see this topic again on your agenda, specifically any traffic controls, parking limitations, anything to do with that. So you'll have that information in your packet. And we have got a couple of residents with different suggestions, so I'll make sure that's all in your packet. Tell us what you want us to do.
There was a discussion about, there was reference to changing the plan direction.
Yes.
So will you be going clockwise as opposed to counterclockwise now? Or?
So that was the direction that the board voted last July.
Yeah.
Is to direct the vehicles access to the site to go clockwise around the circle,
yeah,
and then enter the site.
Yeah.
We heard from the contractor, they think that counterclockwise makes more sense. So next week, even though you've already voted it, we want to make you aware of that information, and you can tell us what you think makes more sense. So we've got some diagrams and photos and things, so you can make more decision. I'll make sure that's all so we can have a clear discussion of what we're talking about.
Thank you.
go up there tomorrow and drive around. It's, yeah.
I don't think there was we didn't really analyze it, I don't think, when we made that decision.
Someone just
I think we just wanted it all to go in one direction, and so I don't think.
Tremendous thought.
No, so I don't think I wouldn't spend much
We
time.
just didn't want them going.
Both ways.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't spend too much time on it, whatever they, obviously,
Whatever they
they
think is
want.
better, let's do it.
Yeah.
And I think this is an important statement that will continue to apply all during the construction. Remember, the hilltop circle to the tank will be an active construction site. We are asking that everyone stay away from the site during construction to help ensure a safe and efficient workplace.
Because,
Repeat that a lot.
yeah, because I think people in that area are used to walking their dogs and stuff, because it's a nice trail that goes back there, so we'd ask people to refrain from doing that while during the construction period.
Okay. What's up next?
All right, next is an informational item, very optimistic correspondence from Senator Tarr's office that looks like that earmark that was originally put into the FY20 state budget for a library ramp. It does look very promising that they'll be able to reallocate those resources toward the paid school playgrounds. So once that becomes official, I'll bring it back to the board and think how best to proceed. There's been different ideas, different conversations with Greg and others, so at some point we'll put that on more substantively, but some good news, so I wanted to share it.
Good. Tom, thank you very much for being so patient
and
after they wanted to give us money and we said no.
Yeah, I think
We didn't say no.
Senator Tarr's
We didn't say no.
office
We didn't say no.
needs super thanks on this, yeah. Plan to address a resident concern regarding a horse trailer and wood chip pile at Pipe Stave. There is a trailer that the that is not viable, I guess, as a horse trailer, but it's used by the Riding and Driving Club for their materials and storage and for personnel during their events.
So it's kept up there for their event, or it's kept up there permanently?
Well, so.
Because I don't remember ever giving permission for that.
No, the board never did, so.
I remember giving permission for like youth groups, like the, you know.
So, when this had initially come up back in, or come to my attention anyway, I should say, back in March, Wayne looked into it, because at first it was brought to our attention about the trailer, we didn't know, we suspected it was Riding and Driving Club, but we didn't know, so he did the research and tracked down the ownership, corresponded with them, and talked to Gary. And Gary's take on it was basically he was aware it was there when it was put there. He never formally said, yes, you can put it there, but it was put there. It didn't really bother him. Operationally, it doesn't really bother Wayne, but that's not really the point. The point is, it's town land and there's a trailer sitting there that's not a town trailer. So I really wanted to get,
Is it even registered properly? It has main plates on it, but is the registration current? Insured?
I do know that they if this is the same one, they put the trailer up, one of the judges sits in there so that their stuff doesn't get wet and stuff. They use it as like a little viewing stand it's sort of like a portable building, you might say, so that the judge can have all their papers and stuff without it getting wet or dirty or something. That's what they use it for.
So they're moving it.
So they
So is it registered and insured?
No, but they move it up to the.
I understand,
up to
I
the rig.
understand, I understand.
I don't know the answer to that.
Well, everything else we were approved down there is just kind of a permanent structure. Everything else, like when the youth leagues have come up to us and said, hey, can we put a trailer down there, or can we put a nice shed down there, so we don't, so we don't have to move our nets all the time. They're all kind of a permanent structure, but if this thing's been moving around down there, I don't know how I've missed this thing. I've never seen it.
It's right next to the shed.
So when it came in, it was probably mid-March, and, I had Wayne looking into it, we got some information. At that time, with everything else my office was dealing with, I didn't, it didn't seem like the right time to be stirring things up when we were putting out fires left, right, and center. So that's not to say it's not important or that it wasn't addressed. It was researched. At that time, it didn't rise to the top of my list, which I think you guys know what my list was mid to late March, and it's probably nothing about. But going forward, I didn't want to get the board's direction in terms of whether you'd like it removed, whether you'd like to formally grant permission for it to stay.
I don't know if I want to remove it or not, because nobody's come here to tell us if they need it or not. If they want it there, I would think they would have to follow the same procedures that everybody else has to follow and come in and tell us what it's all about and what the purpose.
I would give permission to keep it there, because I don't think it's there's a lot of ugly stuff there. It's not particularly worse.
Well, wouldn't you want them to come in and...
But I haven't finished, yeah. But I'd like to see whose is it, and just, do you really need it? If it's just there because someone's too late.
Or if you're going to be moving it around, is it registered, or does it need to be registered? I don't even know.
It sounds like, my guess is that there's, the picture we have here shows a nameplate. It's probably an expired, it's probably not registered.
It's probably expired,
It's probably, kept on site because they can't.
You don't want to put it on the road.
That's right. I mean, you don't want to register it so that twice a year you can tow it from wherever you're keeping it there, and, so it strikes me that they just need to approach the board.
Can I ask?
Permission and have an agreed upon
Use
and agreed upon storage spot and just, yeah.
Okay, you ready? Our insurance company was worried about how our hamburgers and hot dogs were going to be transported, okay, for this thing, and we went to great lengths and had equipment and stuff like that because we were afraid of the liability of serving hamburgers and hot dogs to people this past Saturday. So if we're going to have a non-registered structure that's going to be moved around that place by another entity, I'd like to make sure that it's on their insurance, or if something, God forbid, happens to that thing while it's being moved. If it's not registered, that means it's probably not good enough or safe enough to be registered, and the thing falls over and hits somebody or ruins something or something. I have absolutely no idea. But if the thing's going to be moved around up there, I have no problem at all. Well, I don't have a problem with it. I'd just like to know what the heck it's all about so we can approve it or not. I don't even know what I'm saying yes or no to.
We don't even really know whose it is.
No, we do.
Oh, it said here that they weren't sure who.
I
Yeah.
have an email thread. So this is back in, toward the end of March, correspondence between Wayne and, looks like, Kathy Ferry, trailer, was donated to the club by Joe Hazard. It's not safe for horse transport any longer, or storage and use for the score for the day of the Pipe Safe Horse Trials. It was donated through Susan Bellevue, who worked with Gary Hill to make space for it. Since Gary was the DPW head, I would presume town permission. So she was in Florida at that time, and I wasn't able to check the license plate number.
Okay. So if somebody could come in and give us what they really do with it, that would be great.
Yeah, that's enough.
We beat this.
Okay, and then as far as the wood chip pile, that is going to be removed in the next couple of weeks.
What, can I have a reason why?
Well, based on, the...
Because I plan on going up and getting some.
Okay, they don't all get it while the getting's good. It's
What?
It's
Huh?
kind of on...
Get it while the getting's good.
I use them, if I'm not mistaken.
More, my understanding is it's kind of become a bigger pile. Yeah.
I have absolutely no idea, but for years, this was the good of recycling thing, so people wouldn't have to go get mulch and have all those chemicals in the yard. So I've used it extensively around my house in my garden, so I wouldn't have to, it's natural wood. If my dogs chew it up, it's fine. If I go buy that chemical stuff in the stores or get it delivered, I don't know what's in it. So I've used that, and I plan on going up and getting some more. But if that's not going to be the case anymore, that's fine. But I'm not sure why we would want to why are we getting rid of it?
The pile, actually, I've been up there recently because I've been getting material out of the pile.
Yeah.
It's grown, and it's spread out. you.
I think it's bigger than it
It's
used to
bigger.
be,
You know,
definitely, yeah.
it has gotten bigger, and it has gotten, its breadth is greater than it used to be.
So what, then,
So I think, you know, it strikes me that it's 13.5 miles of it, maybe.
so where does it come from? So the trees that come, hypothetically Steve's tree, they go around and trim our trees for us, or whomever, the contractor, they obviously grind them all up, put them in the truck, and then they go and dump them up there?
That's where some of it comes from. That's, historically, I think that is exactly, that was maybe the beginning and ending. I'm told more recently we've seen, and we've had direct witness reports of people, of other private vendors not having done work on town trees, just going and dumping their chips there.
So why aren't we finding them?
I don't approve of that.
No.
If the police, I notified Chief Durant a while back, and so the patrols are keeping an eye out. If they saw that, they would find them.
Do we have signs to say this is not a dumping thing for anybody?
I don't know.
No, I don't think they're right.
We might want to do that, and maybe turn one of those 4,000 cameras we have up there that the Board of Health is, right towards it. The Board of Health has a bunch of cameras up there. I didn't realize that. Okay. So you're going to diminish it a little bit and have it more manageable, but it's still available for the residents if they want wood chips. Is that the bottom line?
If that is the will of the board, that's how we will proceed.
I would
I
think
would
so.
agree with that, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's recycling. I mean,
My comment about things is, the other day I was getting rid of some paper in the recycling thing, and there was people, two people dumpster diving, and they were literally diving in the metal container.
Oh,
They
try-
were in the metal recycling bin, which is huge, and there's all sorts of sharp pieces of metal and stuff, and I yelled at them to get out of there, but
yeah, they're just trying to make a buck.
I know, but there's diving into that thing, who knows, you know, a big, huge piece of metal could flip, and I whatever.
Good luck.
Yeah.
All right, next item is just purely informational. We're requesting information on the control commission. They're doing survey statewide of all the regulations, so the town planner has responded to that request. And I just wanted to make you aware of it. It's not a topic we've had on many, if any, agendas since I've been here. So since there was something to report, so it's pretty minor, I just wanted to share the information.
Thank you.
The next item after that, the Merrimack Valley Planning Commission Regional Housing Plan has been finalized and approved. And I didn't include it in the packet because it was lengthy, but I provided it as a separate document, so that's also just an informational item. Rick made,
Yeah, just grab one, and we can fix them later.
So Rick may want to elaborate on this, but there was a real good discussion, I think, at the last CPC meeting. It does, seem like there's, support out there to do more on housing. It's not real specific on what, but I knew that this would be of interest. I know Rick would support to kind of get the issue of housing on the table.
Yeah, I just think, it needs to be something that we acknowledge as, beyond a plan, that we acknowledge or vocalize, and try to come up with some real actions that we can implement. The way the state regulations are, I think we all had, or at least I had, a vision of how we might approach housing, but to specifically benefit people in this community that happen to be, from, say, elderly people who aren't able to take care of a large house that they currently own and live in, and providing options, housing options. So, we need to figure out is there a path that works specifically to benefit people in this community that are already here, who've lived here for their lives and want to live the rest of their lives here, but in the current configuration really can't. So that was a good topic at the last CPC meeting. there are funds. I don't recall how much there was, but close to $500,000, if I remember right, in the CPC or the CPA funds.
CPA as well as the payment in lieu.
Yeah, the payment in lieu for.
was about 100, I think.
Right, yeah, so there's there's a reasonable amount of money that's specifically for affordable housing.
Rick, if you can get something off the ground with that, we've been trying
we've
for that.
been trying.
That's
Yeah,
gonna
I
say.
know, and it's
Yeah.
not clear what the path is, but
Yeah.
somehow there has to be a path. that makes
We
sense.
have meetings and.
We thought about
and then-
small, we thought like even just getting one, like a duplex somewhere on town land, just, and to show people that it's not bad, you know what I mean? Because people think it's bad when they hear about affordable housing and there's a piece of land down on,
NIMBYism is amazing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's a piece of land down on Coffin Street. Coffin Street, yeah. There's a piece of town land down on Coffin Street that we talked about a few times when I was on the CPC, about maybe just doing one project, like a nice duplex. So then people could see something, we have something. We talked about the one that Carter's, the Habitat for Humanities or something like that. We try to partner up with something with them to try to do something. It's an absolutely must-need thing, and I would commend you if we could do something. You get my support.
We're on board, it's just hard to get action.
Mm-hmm.
Or we get negative feedback.
Okay, so that'll come back in the future as well. Item U is informational update, but also there is an event I wanted to make sure you're aware of on August 7th. I had signed up for the one that they did in the spring that led to this report that you have in front of you. For the last minute, I just couldn't be there because deadlines and demands, but it sounds like it was a really wonderful event. I do have the August 7th one on my calendar. I'm hoping this time I'll be able to see it through and actually be there because it seems like a really great initiative and a lot of good organizations and people involved with that. So.
You going, Jen?
I am.
The answer was yes, she was.
So I just want to tell them the else to transfer the property, actually.
We did, yeah. Actually it falls under the topic of housing. So the Pipe Save Apartments have, just as you had set on the morning of midday of July 1st, Mike reported to formally transfer ownership of that. So that property is
Good. Never thought I'd see that in my lifetime.
that was nice to have a real tangible outcome.
Yeah.
So if any of the three of you do intend to be at the August 7th, be sure to RSVP, because that'll help them with their plan.
Is it worth going, Jen?
Yeah, I met with them actually, and it sounds like it's gonna be bad.
What day of the week is that?
What day is it? Tuesday? Is it? I'm guessing.
I'll look. Thank you.
It's Wednesday.
No Wednesday.
During the day?
Yes. It's kind of a day long thing.
Where is it going to be held? As I obviously didn't read any of this.
We're holding it at the, Hazel School for college. So, yeah.
Northern Essex.
What?
At Northern Essex.
Something.
UMass Innovation Hub.
Yeah, the UMass. They're
Oh,
there.
okay.
Oh, it's in here. The new one down. Yeah. Oh, that building that right down in downtown Haverhill.
The brand new building.
Yeah, but going over the bridge to Bradford. Something that Mary would like, you think?
She would love it. I'm actually sending it out to the board to see, I've already registered, but I'm gonna see if anybody else wants to register.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring this home for her. Okay, thank you.
Okay, follow-up meeting assignments,
That's pretty good. We don't have to, yeah, we don't have to do that anymore, really, without, because we have Angus.
I think we're done. If you want a preview of what I have on next Monday's punch list, I can give it to you.
Would you? Because I didn't have a pen. I left my whatever in the other room, and I had something I wanted to put on the future agenda, and now I can't remember. Maybe that might spark my mind.
Okay, so we've got the Break Sale Water Tank and the whole issue of traffic flow, Hilltop Circle. And these are in no particular order. The Bicentennial Committee with the discussion of the time capsule. Let's see, we're going to have an announcement on the senior tax work program. I've been working with Teresa to kind of retool the guidelines so that they're more clear than they were last year, and so we'll be ready to announce that next Monday. In the meantime,
But they're state guidelines. How can we retool them?
Well, really, it was the issue on
Well,
federal withholding.
Yeah, we weren't doing our
In the paperwork, it wasn't
being done.
clearly enough communicated, including within this building. Not everyone understood that.
So what was happening?
Remember back in the winter, there was, right at the end of the calendar year, there was some surprise that there was any kind of withholdings from this, and they're not subject to state withholdings, but they are subject to.
Okay.
And we hadn't been doing it for years, and then we started doing
So it's
it.
considered income?
Yes.
Okay.
On the
Or
federal,
debt forgiveness or
no, but
something
on the
like that.
federal level.
Exactly, okay.
Like if you pay off, your credit cards or whatever, you have to use that on you.
We have, we'll be announcing the execution of the highway union contract, we had a memo coming from the planning board regarding chapter lands, policy and procedures, just an informational item, but we'll have that in the packet. We received notice from the historical commission regarding the proposed to create a historic district. I know that was already before you in your capacity as the board of selectmen, but you also represent the town as an affected property owner. So the same notice went to all property owners, went to the board, so that would be under agenda. We are looking to dispose of the ACO van now that we've transferred over the vehicle to serve as the new ACO vehicle. So I'll be requesting the board to declare that van as surplus to authorize us to.
Oh, the old.
Yeah.
Okay.
Disposition process.
They're still using it.
We actually,
The old Aerostar.
was over at the registry today.
Yeah, because I saw it yesterday being used, so.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it might have a couple of days left in it, but we're actively in the midst of transitioning to the new vehicle. So, we can't dispose of property without a vote of the board to declare it surplus.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple other things we're working on that may or may not come together on timing.
When are you gonna come out with your, I know this might be early, of your fall town meeting schedule?
That's one of the things that is on my list with the bicentennial. I guess the main, not just fall town meeting, but really the whole budget process schedule as well has to be, I'd like that on the table in August for sure.
But
I
there's
can't
no reason
remember.
we couldn't do a schedule for the fall town one. right?
No.
Yeah,
I'll add that for
Yeah.
next Monday.
that's good, Glenn.
But that wasn't what I was thinking about. That just came, no, it just came up. Okay, I can't remember. I'll email you, Archie, if there's something. I can't, nothing to do with.
Okay.
Oh, yes. Is there any way we can get Wayne or whomever, it'll probably be Wayne, obviously, it's gonna be Wayne, to give us what is priority, or maybe even a list of, he mentioned to me that he's gonna have some paving, some roads done, and some guardrail work. I have people on Tewksbury Lane, the guardrails over there into that stream. Beaver, oh, that's what it's called, Beaver Brook? Beaver Brook. I mean, I have people in the neighborhood that don't even want to let their kids play over there because I have no idea. This has been a real problem for years and years and years and years. So he said he was going to do it, so people keep on asking me, I'd like to have some type of schedule or something, when he plans on doing the roads and the barriers, that we could, you know,
I can't do that for next week just because he's out this week, but I'm putting that in for the August.
something in the future that we could do. Hopefully it might even be done by then. Doubt it, but, because of the short period of time, but, huh? Did he? I haven't been down there.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But where we put it is like, no one will want to stop there, because then you never see the guys come out of Georgetown.
Thanks, Mike. We just said,
You put it, I think you have to put it around C it in order to stop, but then you have to edge out, you have to ease up.
he has to have some type of plan, obviously, in place of what roads are gonna be done and what guardrails are gonna be done this year. All I would like just to see it. Make a motion to adjourn?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.